speak up, and I'll kick it over to Ben, or maybe just directly to Erica. Maybe you want to do an intro of Erica, Ben.
Yeah, why don't we just go right to Erica? She is the vice chair of the ACT National Vanpool Council, so she's going to kind of give us a brief overview of what vanpooling is looking like elsewhere and across the country. So yeah, over to you, Erica. And you can just
yeah, I'll share my screen if you want. So good afternoon, everybody. As he mentioned, I'm Erica Hines. I'm the vice chair for the Vanpool Council for ACT. Michelle Altoff is our chair. She apologizes she couldn't present today and talk to you, but she's traveling, so I was asked to step in. I'll try my best to convey the messages that she wanted to share with you. But there's plenty of things that I'm excited about that I'm eager to show you. Let's see. Can you see my screen? All right, so we're getting good at some things after what, 18 months or however long it's been. So some of you are from, so you may know what ACT is. I'm not going to read it word for word, but ACT is a trade association made up of TDM professionals for transportation demand management, as most or all of you will know. And our main vision is just a better journey for everyone. And what we look at in ACT, we come together as TDM professionals from all sorts of different perspectives. We're not just from one niche. We have anyone from governmental agencies to transit agencies, employers like Tesla and Google. We have van providers and people that are focused on telework. It's just people from all walks of life in the TDM industry coming together to try to solve the world's problems, which been kind of challenging the last almost 2 years. Then, it's volunteer, people like myself that step up in leadership positions. It really just is a good chance, and I'm sure just like at Vanpool Alliance, to give you an opportunity to, share your success stories and learn from others and improve the industry as a whole. So there's lots of opportunities to ACT. We have chapters that focus on specific areas, say like the Patriot chapter, and I'm in Texas, so I'm in the Red River chapter, which consists of Texas, Arkansas, and Oklahoma. So there's chapters that focus on different parts of the US. There's councils for specific topics and focus, obviously Vanpool, telework, there's an employer council, a university council, and the list goes on and on. And so the councils work on their specific area, but one thing that's been happening a lot lately, because of the situation that we're in, there's been a lot of collaboration and cooperation to try to work together. And it's kind of down for presentation a little bit, but I'm sure you've all heard, I mean, we're living it, the whole hybrid work schedule. We're trying to conquer that. So we have to collaborate with the other councils to figure out how to help each other when they're not teleworking. How do we make sure they're not driving along into the office? There's other committees under ACT National that help with membership, professional development on a national level. And then of course there's conferences, opportunities to present, network. They did start last year doing the ACT National Conference in person. And I think they had about 125 or so folks attend that one, where normally it would be 500 to 600. But so we'll see how that goes next year. So this is the Vanpool Council for ACT. Michelle Altoff is the chair. Me, vice chair, my coworker Jessica Sotelo is the secretary. And then, so we're the main of Vanpool Council, but under us we have subcommittees. So Melissa Foley with Commute by Enterprise is the chair for the programs and professional development, and I'll go into that in the slides following. Jesse Kafka, some of you may know with TripSpark, he's the chair for our resource directory. And then Peter Williamson with SlowCog is working on our communications and marketing. And even though they're two different sub groups, Jesse and Peter, they work hand in hand a lot together with what they're working on. So right now, the ACT Vanpool Council has about 175 members. And again, they're from all over. They're van providers, they're people that work for councils of governments, anyone with an interest of Vanpool. And the subcommittees, of course, that I showed you that Peter and Jesse and Melissa are a part of. Again, that's another great way that they get to be involved, learn a lot, get engaged with other members, ACT National, and really lead to make change and contribute. We have quarterly membership meetings where we call it an all call, where all 175 plus members join in. A lot of the times we have guest speakers, such as you're doing now, to talk about various topics of interest and really get people's thoughts up, maybe somebody that wants to share a success story. Then, of course, our subcommittees give their updates, and we make sure all membership is apprised of what we're working on. One thing I wanted to make mention of that I added in there, it says Fun Retro Board. And I don't know how many of you are familiar with a Fun Retro Board, but it's a very simple concept that I think has really helped us focus on what's important to our membership. Because normally for the ACT National Conference, we just scramble. What kind of sessions are we going to put on? But we want it to be meaningful. We don't want it to be the same old thing. For the longest time, everybody kept talking about the safe return to work. How are you cleaning vans? It was a repeat over and over again. And I think we all know how, what we're doing to mask up and clean vans, but what else is important? What else do we need to talk about? And if you're not familiar with it, a Fun Retro Board is a virtual platform. So think about when you're at a conference or in a room and you have sticky notes and you write your ideas or your brainstorming and you write your thought on a sticky note and you post it on the board. This is basically a virtual platform where you could put your sticky note thought and it saves it and it allows people to vote on the idea. Had this Fun Retro Board where everybody put, we asked our membership, what are you interested in learning? What do you want to know more about? What's important to you right now? And then it got votes, and a lot of people were interested in how do we tackle this hybrid work schedule? As I mentioned before, a lot of people are teleworking or telecommuting right now. When they do phase back, if they only go back once, twice, 3 times a week, how do we ensure they're not driving alone those days that they go back? With Vanpool, as you all may know, there's reporting requirements. There's minimum ridership requirements. So there's some changes we have to make, and that's another thing that ACT National and the Vanpool Council is kind of working on, is maybe what changes on a federal level need to take place in order to adjust to the changes that we've seen so that people can still Vanpool. So it's really complicated, obviously, but it's in the works. We're getting those conversations starting. But that's one thing the Fun Retro Board did. People weren't interested in hearing about how you're cleaning your vehicle anymore. They were interested in, what are you doing now to reach the public? How are we tackling the hybrid work schedule? What are your success stories? How are you, I'm trying to think, but it's a really good way to engage your membership. I would highly recommend looking into doing that. It'll really focus you. Anyways, not to get too overexcited about the Retro Board. It is a very great tool, though. we've also had a lot of virtual discussions. And I say virtual discussions / coffee talks. Those are two different things. The virtual discussions is where we've taken specific topics and kind of corralled everybody in. We have a speaker, and then people can chime in with their thoughts and questions. And you know, they vary. And we also had a series of coffee talks, and they've been very successful. So basically, the coffee talk is sometime in the morning around the 8 o'clock hour. We schedule 3 in a row for the different time zones, so everybody across the country gets a chance to participate. And we might come with a few thoughts or ideas, but it's just to get the conversation started. But that's another great way, especially first thing in the morning. They've been highly interactive. That's where we really started talking about DE&I, hybrid work schedules, how that can fit in with Vanpool. You know, and that's a chance for people to share their success stories. Okay, this month or week or quarter, what's something good that happened? How did you make that happen? You know, knowledge sharing. And I've been surprised. I thought everybody would be zoomed out, like we just do this too much, but they were very highly attended, and people were engaged. And we do put on about 2 or 3 webinars a year, anything from, you know, Vanpool program specific at transit agencies to funding sources. You know, there's some people that struggle with that. And so we have some folks in the Vanpool industry, you know, who are experts in maybe grants and funding sources. So people get a chance to come and learn on the webinar, maybe open up ideas of where they need to look or what they need to do. This just goes into the subcommittees, so I won't go too much into it, but Melissa Foley with the Commute by Enterprise, she's our chair for the Professional Development Subcommittee. Basically, her job is to solicit speakers and sessions for the ACT National Conference, take the ideas for the Fun Retro Board to come up with webinars and virtual discussions. So, you know, she really does the, and we have a TDM forum, typically in November. It got rescheduled to December. So she really works on that content and professional development. And then the communications subcommittee, you know, we're really trying to reach out to our membership to engage people. And it was kind of hard to do that via email. So ACT now has something on their website called Connect. And I'll show you kind of you know, some things on the next slide. But basically, you can log on through the ACT website and as a member go into Connect. And it's this whole back and forth, people from across the country, either they're posting a question or posting something interesting they found. And there's so many conversations happening. I was surprised because in a world where we're logging into social media and work stuff, and you know, I thought people aren't going to log in. They don't want to log into one more thing, but they really utilize it. And I've seen conversations, you know, just information sharing to insurance questions for somebody that was just kind of getting a Vanpool program started, or some kind of liability question came up and, you know, they needed help from somebody. And then, you know, it comes out, you know, you learn something new every day. You know, I've been in the TDM industry for 18 years, and, you know, you don't think about things all the time that, you know, people in one state may have different liability and insurance issues than people in another state. There was a whole bunch of topics that came up, and I thought it was great that they found another way to engage people in conversation. It's been going on for about 1 year now, and it shows, I think the number's higher now. Back when they did that, it was like 471 active users from our members posting stuff in this Connect. When it says communities, it could be like, you know, from Vanpool World, Bike Ped, there's different communities in there, so you can pinpoint the community you want to find discussions about, maybe university topics. So it just kind of shows you how much it's been utilized over the past year. And then I know that you wanted to kind of get an idea of what we were seeing with Vanpool across the country, and it's really varying. And I don't know if I can give you anything that you probably don't know, but just based on the conversations I've seen in Connect and some of the feedback we've got from our members, you know, California is seeing growth. The South and the Southeast, you know, we're a little bit looser with our, you know, mandates and restrictions. So people are starting to go back in the office. You know, we've been pretty busy here in Houston. I know some of the companies that we're going to go back in November, I think they're going to push it back to the first of the year. But I think in January, we're preparing, you know, we're already in the mindset that we need to be ready. We need to make sure our van provider is ready, because I think things are really going to blow up and we're going to get busy after the first of the year, especially with the traffic that we're seeing, gas prices increasing. We're going to get busy. But unless anybody online, I'm curious, has seen something different, a lot of the folks from the Northeast are still paused. Most of them are focusing on telecommuting, just, you know, it's stricter. So we're not seeing a ton of growth and movement in the Northeast. So I don't want to just talk at you. I do want this to be interactive. So I don't know what you're seeing in parts of the country.
Well, I mean, everyone who's on this call needs to give me their application when they start a new van. So I've been seeing a lot of St. Elizabeths, which is the U.S. Coast Guard. I don't know why, but they are definitely the kind of the hot place right now for starting vans. A lot of stuff around bases, you know, the Pentagon, stuff like that, is where Vanpool Alliance has definitely been seeing the most growth. But I don't know, does anyone else have any kind of success stories or what they're kind of seeing as far as like what they're hearing through the grapevine? Don't be shy.
Erica, this is Joe. Just a quick question. On the slide that you have on the screen right now, you're saying, you know, California seeing promising growth and the South and Southeast gaining momentum. I presume that this is all growth and momentum from a much lower point, right? We're not talking that
Right.
The Vanpools are not back to pre-pandemic levels, right? These are lower levels, but they're striving back to potentially those pre-pandemic levels.
Right. I think the only one that's blowing everybody out of the water is Washoe. Or, but I mean, for example, here in Houston, pre-pandemic, we had roughly 570 van pools. Right now, we're sitting around 160.
Yep.
But at our all-time low, you know, we had maybe 25 on the road when it first all hit. So, you know, we're seeing it come back, and we're hearing, and we're actually seeing growth in. It depends on where you are and what your business is. I mean, you know, if you're in DC, there's a lot of, you know, federal and government and military. I know here in Houston, the Federal Bureau of Prisons and Federal Detention Center downtown has been keeping me busy. The city of Houston itself went back 100% June 1st and kept me hopping. But other ones that can't telework are manufacturers. And that's kind of where the DE&I comes into play, is when you're looking at these large manufacturers where people are not making a good income. Because think about the typical van pooler. I know that they don't take a lot of data, but back in the day, I've been in TDM since 2003, and I remember a time And I was the first enterprise rideshare employee outside of California back in 2003. I've worked for consulting firms, rideshare software like New Ride, which is now Agile Mile. So I've kind of seen it from all sorts of different perspectives. And I remember when we did survey van poolers, we stopped here in Houston after a while, but your typical van pool was 60% female, 40% male, average age around, 40, income of 75K or more. Well, when you're looking at giant manufacturers where their income isn't 75K and you're charging them on a month-to-month basis this chunk of money, which is kind of getting higher and higher because of the demand and, chip, vehicles not being made and, just various reasons. If you tell somebody that makes a low income that they have to pay, say, $250 a month to Vanpool, that's going to be very overwhelming. So you have to think of how to market it. We're thinking about things like that. If they get paid on a weekly basis, can you cut it down and bill them on a weekly basis to make it more feasible and attainable for them? We have one large manufacturing plant where they don't just have a high Spanish speaking population, they have Cantonese, Mandarin. So we have to think about getting marketing material in all sorts of different languages and making sure it's accurate from, where they're from. We're trying to see where is growth happening, and if it's not your typical customer, how do you gain that market? Whether it's to think outside the box with diversity, equity, and inclusion, and how you're marketing, or it's a lot of all these puzzle pieces that we need to think about. Did anybody else have in the chat some success or growth that they've had? I know I'm kind of going long, so I just want to go to the final page that we're working on that we're actually really excited about. Part of the knowledge sharing and, one of the things that we're putting together is basically an interactive US map of Vanpool programs. And so we send it out to all of our members and we kind of ask them some specific questions like their name, description, who the contact person, funding source, all this information. And some of them are starting to share, and this is brand new, but just to give you an idea. So everything you see on the map as of maybe 2 weeks ago, these are the entities that, or the organizations that sent us that data that we requested. And eventually we want this filled up with all the Vanpool programs across the country. And then they're going to have little different icons, like maybe a cap for the universities, and the buildings are for employer-run Vanpool programs. And if you click on it, you can see how are they funded, who's the contact person. If you have a question, maybe you're at another employer and you want to start your Vanpool program, or a university. So you click on another university, maybe to reach out to that person and say, help me. There was one other thing about this that I thought, and as far as we're also going to include the number of Vanpools that they have in their program, and what we're going to base that off of is the national NTD reporting. And I think we're going to do it on an annual basis so that it may not be accurate in the moment, but it'll be across the board kind of equal if people are looking at growth, because we're doing it once a year with the NTD reporting. But I wanted to show that off. I thought that was pretty cool. It's just in the beginning stages, but I thought it was really neat.
Just so everyone knows, Vanpool Alliance is already on that map. So it's just kind of an overview of the program, what we do, how many folks we have enrolled. So yeah, it's actually a really cool little tool. And I found myself clicking a lot of different, just like, oh, I didn't know they had a Vanpool program. Oh, so yeah, it was very interesting. I have a question for you, Erica. have you guys seen or had maybe like a, I don't know if oversubscription is right, but have you guys been saying, oh, this is a 7-passenger van, but we got 10 people on the Vanpool because of the alternative work schedule? Like, are you guys seeing that?
Well, that is actually one of the virtual discussions we're going to have coming up, because that topic is coming up because of the hybrid work schedule. We're trying to think, okay, if there's a minimum ridership requirement, if we can't lower the requirements, how are we going to fill the seats? And so the old-fashioned oversubscription, and instead of, I mean, we've had vans in the past, for example, here in Houston do it, but that's more, I don't know, those van groups just kind of figured it out and made it happen.
Yeah.
So now we want to find out how to make it formalized, like using technology to make those oversubscriptions and like seat utilization. And so we're going to have more discussions about that, because that's another thing we want to figure out. That's been a hot topic lately.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Does anyone else have any questions for Erica?
Yeah, I don't have a question, Erica, but I that's the first time I've seen that little map there. I think that's a really great thing. I mean, in my opinion, one of the greatest problems that vanpooling has always faced is that, you know, we're not one loud voice shouting in the dark. We're like 200 tiny voices, and so it'll do a much better job on kind of a policy level of showing exactly what the impact of vanpooling is on a national level, which I think will help, you know, with those changes that need to happen at the federal level about the definitions of vanpooling and, you know, these types of things, to see that it really is a cohesive mode of transport that is, you know, has a presence in the vast majority of US states, and, you know, is very excellent little infographic there. So I think that's really, ACT's done really great work with that.
Yeah, and just to see the areas, I mean, you know, if they're rural or, you know, in dense cities, and there's so much information you can get out of that once it's complete. It's pretty cool. And, you know, I just included, you know, Michelle's email, my email. So if you come up with thoughts or questions afterwards, again, Michelle sent her apology she couldn't be here. I'm sure she'd probably have a lot more information that I gave to you, but still, if you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to help. And when she's back from traveling, you know, as well.
Very good. I'll circle back with you, Erica, but I think I'll pass along how folks can join ACT. Yeah, the more the merrier, right?
Yeah, and I just, now that I stopped sharing my screen, I see some familiar faces, and of course I know Joe, and I see Felicia's smiley face.
Yeah,
it's always good to see your face. But I appreciate you inviting us in to chat, and we're here if you have questions.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So thank you, Erica. We're going to kick it off to Mr. Bill Likos. Take it away, sir.
Yeah, thanks, Ben. I apologize for whatever team's devils were doing. But we're here now, and I'll be very brief because I'm on a short deadline, which means I'll speak before Felicia, because after that, you all are at her mercy. The TMP, I'm the TMP task manager for the I-66 project, and I know many of you on this call. If you have not been driving through I-66 as of late, you will notice that it is 29 miles of construction hell. They are shifting lanes to the outside. They are on track to open that facility in December of 22. So needless to say, the construction pace is incredible right now. I guess if people go back to work, and clearly gas prices, but with the nature of driving on 66, vanpools are becoming a better and better option every day. The I-66 TMP program has had a special subsidy for vanpools that traverse the work zone. The work zone in this case is from Gainesville, Virginia to the Beltway. And that special program offers a very substantial subsidy. For those who aren't familiar with it, we guarantee a $150 a month cost to riders. And then the TMP will make up the difference between ridership fees, other subsidies such as Vanpool Alliance, and the cost of the Vanpool, up to $800 a month. So it can be a fairly substantial subsidy, and it's good for 12 months. We have reinstated this now. It is up. It's available to any of you providers that have new Vanpools who are forming, and I'm somewhat flexible, recently formed, like within the last 30 days or so, since that's when we authorized the subsidy to restart. And they have to be commuting within the work zone. So that's not a real hard qualification. If you're coming from Western Prince William County, Fauquier, down 29, Western Fairfax County, you are going to be on I-66 in all likelihood and qualified for it. Felicia is our program manager. She's the day-to-day contact. She's the one who will be working with the providers and is there to support formation efforts by the Vanpool organizers. My role is pretty simple. I'm at the top, or not the top, I'm seldom at the top. I'm at the far left, as you read left to right, in the approval process. All I have to do is see the application. DRPT and Vanpool Alliance have one to share. It's a very simple application process. I can assure you that the only thing I'm going to look at is where do you start and where do you end. And if it's a reasonable presumption that you're on I-66 in the construction zone, you'll be eligible for the subsidy. Other than that, sort of building on one of the comments Erica made, there are obviously there's normal Vanpool requirements, but one of the things we're committed to is demonstrating flexibility in meeting that 5-person minimum. Obviously, things are not normal, but they may get there. And if it takes 8 people, 9 people, whatever, to subscribe to a Vanpool, so that you're meeting the 5, we're good with that. Similarly, if you've got 5 folks who are tried and true and riding it every day, but they're not working on Fridays, we're probably going to be good to go on that as well. So, you know, the flexibility will be the order of the day. And between Felicia and I, we can work with each of you providers and with your Vanpool clients to see what we can do to use this to jumpstart more Vanpools. We are absolutely committed to getting as many Vanpools reformed or formed before the express lanes open as we can. So that's the TMP perspective. Joe, did I miss anything?
Seemed pretty comprehensive to me. You got through that lickety-split, Bill.
All righty. Well, Felicia, ball's in your court. What do you want to share from the administrative side?
Nothing other than the fact that we are encouraging all of the Vanpool service providers to, start following up on those leads along that corridor. And we're here to support your efforts. But, my hands are open looking for some completed Vanpool applications to review. So we wish you the best of luck. I'm in the market for other work, and I have to say that the tide is turning. And I know Erica mentioned the equity issue, and there are some employers that have essential employees that have to be at work, and some of them live outside of the tight geographic area, which makes them good Vanpool prospects. And from an equity perspective, I do know of some employers that are implementing commuter choice programs to pick up that cost. So I'm here to encourage you all and let you know that we're thrilled to have this program activated, and we stand ready to support your applications. Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions about the I-66 subsidy? That's 3 seconds, Ben. That concludes our part. Thanks for being generous and flexible in the scheduling.
Bill, I do have a question.
Sure.
So just to a point of clarification, it's 12 months until the hot lanes open up and then it's done, right? So
we will subsidize for up to 12 months of continuous operation for any Vanpool eligible. Right now, the opening date is December 22, which is just a shade over 12 months away. So
okay. All right.
Construction projects are known also to be flexible, particularly when it comes to that final mark. But yeah, we'll work with people up to that full 12 months. So.
Okay. Good enough.
It's also, Ben, let me emphasize, and several people on this call contributed, this is not our first rodeo. We've done about 6 TMP programs in Northern Virginia. We have found that the fixed cost approach is far and away the most marketable. It's the easiest to explain to people when you're recruiting Vanpool riders. And for a lot of folks who are eligible for, their transit subsidies, this wipes out their costs for the month. And if you can get anywhere in DC 21 or 22 days a month for free, you're not going to get a better offer. So it's a very, very effective program when the environment will allow it to be.
Very much so. Yeah. All right. Any questions for Bill, or are we moving on?
Again, thank you all. Bye now.
Thanks, Bill. Thanks, Felicia. All right, let me share my screen. All right, can everyone see my screen?
Yep.
We might want to make this a transit now. The 350 is kind of a dinosaur, right? But it's a good dinosaur.
They're all dinosaurs on that screen, my friend.
Kinda, yeah. All right, so we're a regional partnership. I always have to say this just so that everyone knows, it's not just DomniRide that kind of makes up this program. It's the George Washington Regional Commission. I'm sure many of you are aware of Lee Anderson and Kate Gibson. So those are our partners, and then the folks up in NVTC. So that's like your Arlingtons, your Alexandrias, your Loudons, your Fairfaxes, and that really makes up Vanpool Alliance. At the current moment, we have 39 active vendors. That's down. We used to have over 50, but COVID has, taken its toll on some folks, which is unfortunate, but, we still have 39 vendors. That's a pretty diverse population. And so we're happy to have the 39 active vendors, to be honest. So last Vanpool Council, I did the building back. So I'll just update that. So typical reporting right now is about 46,000 passenger ships per month. Our peak was 143,000, right? So that's well off it, but to be fair, we're about 55% of our pre-pandemic levels, which is good. It's not great, but it's not terrible either. So I think, places like Fort Belvoir, NGA, Navy Yard, St. Elizabeth have kind of given us a little bit of insulation from the very big, harsh realities of the pandemic. Not to say that you guys haven't felt those, because I'm sure you have, right? This is a National Transit Database reporting program, right? We collect your ridership, your costs, stuff like that. So this year we are reporting 4.7 million revenue miles. Our peak was 11.2 million. So pretty far off what we peaked at. However, when you actually think about it, 4.7 million revenue miles is still pretty good considering, the amount of telework, alternative work schedules that are happening right now, in this region. So I'm hanging my hat on 4.7 as a win, albeit, room for improvement for us. There's more business out there for us to get. Again, just to kind of give you guys, kind of where we're at. Peak enrollment, we hit 670 enrolled vans. Now, to be fair, we never had 670 vans report in a month, right? Some people forget, blah, 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 so, I mean, I think the most we ever had reported in a single month was like 560 something. So there's always kind of a delta between who's active in our system and who's actually reporting. Right now, we got 361 participants. We, slowly but surely, we're getting applications in every month. So we are building back, and hopefully that kind of continues. As always, we have ride matching services, so just reach out to myself, Denise, or Bonnie, and we can do ride matching if you need that. It doesn't always, get results. However, it's something we have, and then, we can always put you on to your local TDM professionals, down south in Stafford, Spotsy, Fredericksburg. That's going to be Lee. Our neck of the woods, that's going to be Holly Morello. And then there's a bunch of folks up in the northern regions that we can, put you on to if you need help keeping your van on the road, or maybe getting that one person to be able to start a Vanpool. So we'll always be there for that kind of service. Everything's kind of virtual right now. As and when there are in-person virtual transit fairs, we'll let you know. It was always good to kind of be at Navy Yards, see folks, Pentagon, see folks, stuff like that. So we're continuing with that. We're working with you guys. We're working with folks like people at DoD, Pentagon, stuff like that, to just kind of get a gauge on when they expect they'll be back. I feel like we've been told they'll be back, and, it gets punted down the lane a little bit. So, we will, when we do have concrete information, we'll put it out to you guys. But, currently, I think with like the Delta variant and stuff like that, there's been a little bit of a scramble to maybe adjust expectations about when people are getting to work. And, as Erica said, it does seem like January is kind of D-Day for people getting back into the office, stuff like that. So, if we get there and it's January 1st, hopefully you guys will have a lot of applications to give to myself and Denise and Bonnie. So we have increased our cash flow to you guys. $200 went up to $300, with DRPT allowing us to retool some grant monies. We were able to make 4 rounds of ever payment to you guys. Hopefully that was well received and, kind of helped you guys stay on your feet. We do have two grants that are corridor based, I-66 and I-395. We'll get into that right now. And I have shared this with you guys, but I just want to, kind of make sure you guys are aware of this. So commuter choice is I-66 and then I-395. So there are 2 parking benefits in both corridors. For 395 and 66. So if you have parking costs that are occurring in like Arlington or DC, we can reimburse you up to $200 a month. We just need proof of your parking costs, you know, give us a monthly cost. We're not gonna, you know, like it needs to be like our parking cost is $170 a month or 180. If it changes each month, like we'll need to talk about that offline, but we haven't actually had anyone take advantage of the parking benefit just yet. And this is something that was born out of one of these Vanpool Council meetings where someone spoke up and said, you know, in the urban core, parking can kind of get in the way of Vanpool formation. So by all means, this is there. Please take advantage of it. In the I-395 corridor, if you traverse I-395 whatsoever, you are eligible to get an extra $400 per month. This runs through June 2023. So if you were to take advantage of the parking benefit, the just direct subsidy and Vanpool Alliance, you'd be getting $900 a month. Which, you know, if someone offered me $900 a month for traversing 395, I'd do it for sure, right? After that 2023, it will go away, so be cognizant of that. But if you can, it's a great tool to be able to lower your kind of charging your commuters, right? Like you can make that a lot more palpable or whatever to people trying to maybe come to vanpooling or come back to vanpooling, right? We have a lot of returning customers. And then the next thing we have, which is pretty big, is we are rolling out our mobile reporting. So in this, like after November reporting period, so for the December reporting period, there's the option that you can use your mobile device to report your Vanpool Alliance data. If you're an owner operator, you will default into the old setting, because we understand that, you know, if you have more than 2 or 3 vans, you probably don't want to do daily reporting for each one of those vans, which is fair. But it gives people flexibility. So if you want the old system, you absolutely can go back to the old system. If you like the new system, by all means, use it. It's just more flexibility. We understand that our reporting system is understood. You guys get it, but this might serve some people better. So we've developed a tutorial video, also written instructions. We're gonna like put that out to you guys once the November reporting period's done. That way there's no confusion about like, well, I'm not seeing this, blah, blah, blah. You know, we'll do it after November 15th. That way, come December, you guys know what's happening. I suspect for the vast majority of you guys, you'll probably be opted into the old version, so you won't need to worry about it. But you know, we'll put those stuff out there so that you guys can see it. In general, our website's getting kind of an overhaul, so there'll be more stuff about how to use the mobile reporting. We have a testimonial video that's coming out. Just, you know, no offense to Joe, but his number and email address has been scrubbed out of the website so that everyone comes to me now. I'm sure Joe will be excited not to forward me, you know, however many emails a week he has saying, hey, Vanpool Alliance stuff, this is you now. So yeah, exciting things happening in that front. Here's my contact info. You probably already have it, but just in case you didn't, there it is. And if there's any questions or general thoughts, you know, this is the time to do it because we're just about done.
just before folks, I'm sure, launch into an absolute barrage of fantastic questions, I just want a few things for folks to take away. The 4.7 million revenue miles that we are reporting this year, you know, I consider that to hopefully very much be this program at its lowest ebb, right? And the importance of that is that 4.7 million revenue miles generates more than enough income for this program to continue to exist. It was born out of a desire to monetize the vehicles that you guys own and generate transit funding for the region. And without the funding that those vehicles generate, it cannot provide the payment which everybody has come to rely on. So I want you guys to feel somewhat comforted that despite the fact that the amount of revenue miles that we have has been cut in half, we are still, our payment has not been cut in half. In fact, it has gone up by half. So we, in amongst everything else that the program is doing, we want you to know that we are here to continue to provide support as much as we can, not just with the basic payment, but with also the millions of other things that Ben's done an excellent job of articulating. Second thing, Holly, of course, is our rideshare specialist for Prince William County, but it would be remiss of me if I didn't introduce Lakeisha Lewis, who has also joined us on the call tonight. She is Holly's capable number 2. Natasha Khan, who some of you undoubtedly know, has moved on. She's working at VRE now. We wish her the very best, but Lakeisha will be with us and we're very excited to have her. And then finally, regarding the parking benefit, it is very much a question of, if you don't use, you will lose, right? So we want this council, which is one of our mobility councils, to be a sharing ground for ideas that you guys have and, you know, issues that you're having, like with the catalytic converters and this, that, and the other. And unfortunately, grant vehicles do not exist to hire security guards to stand at park and ride lots to protect catalytic converters. That would be great, but they don't. But there are these other things that we can do, and so when we get these, if you guys can avail yourself of these benefits, please do so. Because when it comes round to the next cycle and we're looking to redo these grants, it's looked more favorably upon if we actually used the money that we asked for. So that's all I have to say.
All right, I'll open it up. General millings, questions, comments, thoughts. You know, a lot of the good things that come out of these council meetings is just hearing from you guys and, you know, hearing what you see. So yeah, if you got something, please speak up.
Hi, this is Jennifer. Can you hear me?
Yeah, hey Jennifer.
Yeah, hey. I just wondering, it's almost 5 months I didn't get anything. I don't know what I did wrong. I submit the report. I did everything and nothing comes to me. And you guys telling us right now, you guys have money to help us to subsidize. I have been put our own money on the van every month now because the gas cost is going, the toll road going, and the people, when I'm asking for more money, they say, no, that's all I pay you, Jennifer. So I just don't know, maybe when you have a time, can you look at my case for me, please?
Yeah, absolutely. We can talk about that offline.
Okay.
Probably not best
because
to
I'm asking, but like no one even care. I'm sorry to say this, but I'm honestly, if another 2 months I don't get anything, I've been out of business. I cannot run the van, and you guys keep encouraging us to run the van.
Yeah, we'll talk tomorrow if you're free and just kind of go through your specific reports.
Yes, please.
Yeah, but I appreciate you guys being here, and yeah, we'll talk tomorrow.
Okay, thanks so much.
Yeah, for sure.
Hi, this is Sharon. Can someone explain to me again what the ride matching service is?
Sure. Bonnie, do you actually, like, you kind of do the ride matching, so do you want to speak more to that? Otherwise I can.
Sure, Sharon. Actually, it's pretty simple. You send me an email say, my Vanpool is going from this origin to this destination. Is there anyone in the Vanpool Alliance database whose commute matches this trip? And then I run a search for you. If names come up, I'll send them your way. As Ben mentioned earlier, sometimes we don't get any matches, and that's unfortunate. But one thing we have started doing is posting on our Facebook page. If you don't know that we have one and you have a Facebook account, please look up the Vanpool Alliance page. And if I find from you that there's an existing Vanpool that's looking for more riders to join, then I'll make a post on our Facebook page about that. So if you ask me for a rideshare match, I will also do that as a matter of course now on the Facebook page as well.
Okay, thank you. I'll definitely reach out to you. Thanks.
Oh, you're welcome. Sure.
Anyone else?
Can I interject real quickly
Ben.
and put in a plug for the Commuter Connections ride sharing database and the fact that Bonnie and I can partner with one another, and we've got another avenue of names that we can pull from. So folks can either reach out to me and Lakeisha as well, or reach out to Bonnie and she can get in touch with us, and we can use that database to get additional names.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
if your Vanpool is coming from Manassas Park, Prince William County, Holly and Lakeisha are a big resource that you should reach out to as well. And if you're curious as to who that person is that's in your local area, I can also look that up for you too.
Yeah, thanks, Bonnie. I think when we send out notes from the meeting and stuff, we'll do our very level-headed best to give you guys who's who in which county and jurisdiction. That way you can kind of go where you need to go. But, as a catch-all, just come to us and we'll point you in the right direction. I heard someone speak up.
Hey, Ben, how you doing? Joe, how y'all doing? It's Tony from Time to Go Vanpool.
Hey,
Can you hear
Tony.
me? Hey, I'm
Yep.
doing good. Hey, yeah, just want to give a shout out to your team and your staff. They've done an excellent job. Ask questions regarding Time to Go. They always on point and they always point on. So I just want to give them a shout out. And just the feedback I received from them is always good. So I appreciate that. Leah, Denise, and Bonnie, always on point. And also, I just want to say, how's the market from DC to Virginia and also Maryland to Virginia? Because I've been getting a few phone calls, but they're out of the area. Because I'm pretty much focused on Virginia.
Yeah,
so
for
forth.
Vanpool Alliance.
But I've been getting some calls. Right.
For Vanpool Alliance, you need to traverse in the Northern Virginia urbanized zone, UZA. What does UZA say?
Urbanized zone
area. Yeah. So if you don't traverse that at all, you can't be in Vanpool Alliance. But doesn't mean you can't have them as Vanpool by any means, right? There's still quite a few folks out there who, for whatever reason, don't want to be part of Vanpool Alliance, and I don't know why. It's pretty easy to be a part of the program. You get $300 per van. It's not a bad gig. But yeah, there are people who don't participate in the program, and you just kind of treat those as you would any other Vanpool. Just you don't have to do the data reporting. As far as what we've seen, it is very much kind of defense, military bases, stuff like that. You're not seeing much of like the US DOT or, ag building, stuff like that. We're not really seeing those folks come back to work yet, but we'll see what OPM comes out with. Hopefully soon, and as and when they do, we'll let you guys know.
Yeah, and Tony, just to kind of comment on that, I will say that I think that I think that many folks in the business are kind of look on the last 2 years as like the darkest hour. But for those folks that have been able to kind of carry on and keep on with this, there is a light at the end of this, right? The 66 coming online and having that be a bi-directional HOV corridor, that's going to, and with all of those park and ride lots that are out there, that's an opportunity for growth there. As I've said a million times before, 95 is all mostly, or at least it was in the past, you guys taking vans from each other. I'll just be completely honest. That's what it was. It was moving deck chairs around, right? Because it's a very mature market, right? But 66 isn't a mature market. There's actual, like, legit opportunity there. And if you mentioned about Maryland vans coming to Virginia, this is a few years down the line. But Virginia is extending its Beltway express lanes up to the American Legion Bridge, as opposed to abruptly dumping you off by the Dulles Toll Road as they currently do. But this is all dependent upon Maryland redoing the American Legion Bridge, which, as you can imagine, isn't cheap. And then they're extending the express lanes on I-270 as well, right? And so if it bears mentioning, Ben's obviously correct. If you don't touch the Virginia UZA, then you're not qualified for Vanpool Alliance. But I mean, certainly you've got your Rockville, your Frederick, Maryland, those types of vans. If they come down, they go around the Beltway, they go to the NGA in Springfield, they might go to PTO in Alexandria or something like that. Those would all be perfectly eligible. And there's going to be more of those vans once the facility is constructed that would actually incentivize using them. Because for right now, you're stuck in the same bloody traffic as everybody else. And so it's not quite as compelling. But those things will change. It will get better. And with 66 in particular, we are basically 12 months and counting. And that will be a game changer for those people, for those companies that can or want to operate on the western side of things. I understand that for some folks, they don't have the logistics to be able to do it. And, it's ridiculous, like getting unicorn tiers, trying to find extra vehicles now anyway. But it is something to keep an eye on, because at some point that does have to loosen up.
Okay. Sounds good. I appreciate it. And once again, hey, y'all doing an outstanding job. Keep up the good work.
Thank you. Genevieve, it sounds like you have your hand up, virtually raised.
I do have a question, and I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one who is gonna having this issue with the toll charges. In the past COVID time here, that with most of employees are teleworking, and when they go in, there's probably just 1 or 2 in a week or whatever that that need to go in. Therefore, we are charged, we use the toll charges. For 1 month, I was billed almost $300 just for toll charges. And that's a toll on your, on your expense for Vanpool. Much less, not using the other vans because the riders are teleworking. So I'm just kind of bothered with this toll charges, that sometimes I told my riders, the driver, hey, take even if it's traffic, take 95, the regular 95. But I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one. And I just want to bring this up,
Yeah. I mean, Genevieve,
we definitely have.
Sorry,
Yeah, we definitely heard that from other folks. We've had folks who are running into HOT violations because people are just running through the HOT regardless of their eligibility requirements or not. So we definitely hear you. I will absolutely go to our grant sources, stuff like that, to see. I think, just to be perfectly honest with you, it's a hard road to toe, because there needs to be a benefit to the toll payer for us to be able to receive grant funds through the commuter choice stuff. And if we're coming to them being like, well, it's a Vanpool, however, not every day, I don't know that would kind of score well enough to get funding to kind of waylay those toll revenues that you're incurring. But it's something that we'll absolutely take to DRPT, the Department of Rail and Public Transportation, VDOT, Commuter Choice. We'll kick the tires and see if there isn't a solution we can come up with. But it's just that is, if nothing else, that's kind of like the tough part of what this pandemic has done, right? Is you don't have 4 people vanpooling, you have 3, and 3 isn't a vanpool technically. And so you're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. And, we will do our best to try and figure out a solution to that. But at the current time, FTA says you have to have a minimum of 4 and 50% occupancy. So we'll kind of go from there.
Yeah, and I mean, just to kind of pile on with that is that, Genevieve, you have my almost unlimited sympathies with that, but that might be all you get, right? Because the 95 express lanes are not even run by the state of Virginia. They're private. They're run by the concessionaire, which is Urban Trans or Transurban. I always forget which one is which, right? And their entire purpose is to collect toll revenue. So they're going to come right back and say, you know what? On the days that you don't have 3 people, go in the general purpose lanes. And if your people do go in the hot lanes, well, then you've either got to suck it up and pay those fees or pass them on to the people in the van, which doesn't help you any. But so I understand your point, and certainly we've heard that from people, but it's you end up negotiating with a body whose entire purpose is to collect tolls or violations thereof. So it can be quite difficult, but we will try and carry the water as best we can.
Yes, that's why I told my driver, hey, take 95, from Pentagon to Stafford, it's about $48.
Yep,
one way. That's only one way.
Mm-hmm.
So, I said, why are you taking Pentagon? Oh, we want to get home early as fast as this. I said, no, I can't afford that. Otherwise, you pay that toll. You have to pay the toll.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So. Unfortunate. It's very unfortunate that they're raising up these prices because nobody's taking the HOV lanes because of the prices. So, like I said, I'm stuck with it, But I thought I'd bring that up. Also, I have one more question. This parking program. What do you need do you need a receipt to prove that it's being parked in DC? How are you going to process that?
Yeah, we need like a receipt or some sort of maybe like a contract of like, yes, I will be paying XYZ amount of money per month to park at XYZ parking lot or parking ramp. If you do have parking costs and you're traversing that corridor, let us know, and we'll work with you guys.
Okay, so when does this start? November?
It's live right now. It's been live since July. We just haven't had anyone take advantage of it. So, if you can, please do, because
I'll include that on my report in November. With Ms. Bonnie here. By the way, you all look good, so, and thank you so much for that great help that you guys are providing us. Really, I've been in the Vanpool for 25 years, so probably even more. So, and I've been with you guys, especially Mr. Joe. He's been very helpful.
Sure.
Thank you.
We try to be, and we'll try to continue to be. So thank you, Genevieve.
Sure, anytime.
Hey, Ben and Joe. Hello. Hey, this is Tracy Bell with BCS Vanpool. I just want to share with the Vanpool owners that sometime in the HOV lanes, your riders may be laying down, going to sleep, and you may have 4 riders and the 2 in the back or laying down, and you may get a toll for that. They'll identify you as not having more than 3 riders. So FYI, keep an eye on that, because I get the bill every month too, and then they can tell me they got 4 riders in there. But my next question is about the I-66 corridor. What is the total number of vans that's right now that's enrolled in that program? That seems like it's a good market to go into, because I'm here in Stafford still, so I need to go outside of Stafford.
Yeah, we don't have that many van pools in 66. We had more than a pandemic hit, and that kind of decimated 66. I think it decimated 66 just for the simple reason of there's not really that much time savings, right? And so, yeah, that was kind of unfortunate, but
definitely, I think
I want to say we have like 20 some vans in the I-66 corridor.
Yeah.
But certainly it's, and I know it's kind of a long haul for most of you guys that are down in Stafford, Spotsy, Fredericksburg, to logistically kind of be in that corridor, right? But it is the corridor of opportunity as far as, there will be HOT lanes both ways. So it's not just the one way. So yeah, there's just going to be a lot of opportunity there. Lots of park and ride lots coming online. So kind of the sky's the limit there. You kind of need to figure out a way to be there. And I think the best way to probably be there is probably when transit fairs and stuff kick off again, so that you can, be at Navy Yard. Navy Yard is our biggest destination still, followed by Pentagon and Fort Belvoir NGA type places. So, if you can get there to kind of tout your business, that's probably the easiest way to be in the I-66 corridor without actually just going out to like Haymarket or Gainesville, right? So as and when we have events coming up, check our Facebook page. We'll try and do a better job of like maybe letting you guys know, maybe seeing if we can't get you guys into the area. But the one thing that I think we've always done a good job at is we're Vanpool Alliance. We're not here to flog one of you guys. We're here to flog all of you. And so when we can, we give as many people in said corridor as we possibly can. We don't exclude anyone. So, if when you're in the 95 corridor and you're like, hey, I'm interested in vanpooling, they get a lot of different options, because most of you guys are in the 95 corridor, right? And so as and when you guys are building in 66 and stuff, we'll give that as well.
Roger that. And my last thing is thanks to all you guys for all your hard work. And I want to go along with Tony and the other lady about the great customer service you guys give. And we really appreciate it.
That's Bonnie and Denise. They're great. I'm very happy to have them as employees. They're always very responsive, and I'm sure you guys enjoy interacting with them because they typically get you guys sorted and pointed in the right direction.
I totally agree.
I'm coming. Hey, I second that. Time to go. I second that.
There we go. Does anyone have any other questions? This is kind of the time to ask them. If you think about something afterwards or something, please send me an email and we'll get you answers as best we can.
Being real quick, could you send us a copy of the slideshow? Is that possible?
Yeah, for sure. We'll send you a link to this recording, and then we'll send you the slideshow, the contact info, stuff like that. Probably look for that next week. All right.
Thank you.
Okay,
That's
sounds good.
very helpful.
Appreciate it.
All right, guys, thank you so much for your time. Hopefully you guys got some value add out of that. But you know, as always, if you have questions, stuff, reach out. We're here to help. And with that, I hope you guys have a good weekend, albeit sounds like it might be a little bit wet.
Well, thank you for all you do.
Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
work.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good evening, guys.
Thank
All right,
you.
thanks again. Appreciate it.
Bye.